Hi there, this is Samuel Wambogo. Um, Today I want us to look at GKE Ingress with SSL, Google managed SSL certificates. So basically, the focus of this video is trying to see how we can use SSL certificate, Google managed SSL certificates with the GKE Ingress controller. So to showcase this, we'll be using two backend services, we'll be using two deployments in the backend. One, an Nginx deployment with 2 pods, and a Flask deployment also with 2 pods and two different services exposing the two different backends. So I'll be sharing a link to the code that we'll use for this demo. It's publicly accessible, so you can get it on GitLab and try it out on your own. I also share a bunch of other documentations around whatever technologies we are using. So for the Ingress and some also documentation on the Google managed SSL certificates. The Ingress itself, no, this is actually the HTTP to HTTPS redirects, which is something I'll showcase later in this demo. And how to even reserve a static external IP address. We'll be using one for this case. And finally, there is one Docker. There's one Docker image that I'm using for this one. It's just for showcasing purposes. You don't need this to use the Google managed SSL certificates. I've also already done the deployment, so I'll show you how to do this. So the certificate itself takes a bit of time before it is provisioned. So then I have already provisioned one, but yeah, so it's just a single command and then you provision this. It's very, very easy to do it. So let's start. So we'll start with the backend services. So I'll show you, we'll get to deploy the pods for the Nginx. We'll also deploy the pods for the Flask. So this is assuming you have two different kinds of applications, totally separate. They could be even serving different clients, whichever your use case is. And then so they're in the backend. Then you have services exposing those applications. And then now you have your Ingress controller, and the Ingress just does load balancing. It's able to to move traffic whichever way you want it to, and then it also manages SSL termination for you. So let's jump to it. So where do we start? So let's start with the backend service. Okay, let's start with the deployments, that is Nginx and Flask. So let's go to the code. So here I have an Nginx. So I'll share the link to this. It's on the GitLab. So we have an Nginx deployment. So here we are doing two replicas of an Nginx, of the community-based Nginx image. So let's run this. So it's basically now coming here. So I'm already connected to my GKE cluster. So if you get nodes, you'll see you're connected already. So yeah, we connected. So let's do the deployment, or the Nginx deployment, kubectl. Let's just apply that YAML file. So let's do Nginx deployment. So we're deploying two. Yes, so there we go. So kubectl get deployments. We'll see 2 pods. Yes, they have just come up, age 11 seconds. So right now, if we try our URL, so I have already mapped 2 URLs. So there's this nginx.swambogo.website and there's flask at .swambogo.website. These two on the domain registrar side, I've just pointed them to a static IP address, which you provision on your Google console. So if you just search, let me just duplicate this page so that I don't have to close it. I'll use that later. So if we search here for IP addresses, you can get it here. So yeah, so there's IP addresses. And then I have this static web, web static IP. So this is a public IP that I have provisioned already. And then what I'm doing is that now this IP address on my domain name registrar side, or on my account on the domain registrar, I have pointed my 2 domains to that IP address. And that's it. That's the only thing I have done on the registrar side. Everything else, we're going to do it together with you guys. So then now we have made the Nginx deployment, so that's up and running. Right now, if you try and access this, definitely you shouldn't be able to connect because, yeah, well, probably I'm getting to the Nginx, not the Nginx, sorry. I'm probably getting to the Ingress because, okay, it's already running, I would think, and I should have deleted it before starting the video so that we create it together. Let's just see if it's here. Get Ingress. I'm sure it is. That's why I'm getting that error. In fact, yeah, so I should remove this Ingress. kubectl. This I had created before, so let me just remove it. Ingress. My Ingress. So if we remove it, then you shouldn't even be able to load that page. Sometimes it doesn't come off, so it requires you to do some crazy editing. I think I should just start doing the editing now. So I need to say kubectl. Do I remember? Edit deployment. Is it? No, edit Ingress, and then the name of the Ingress. The name of the Ingress is my Ingress. I need to delete something, so one of the finalizers, so that it comes so that the deletion works. So I have to go to, where is that finalizer? This one. So I have to say KK. Oh no, it's not KK, it's DD. Yeah, DD. Yeah. Delete that and save this. So yeah, that's edited. So our deletion should work now. Yeah, imeenda. So now from Google side, this should have been deleted. So if we try and go to the Ingress, services and Ingress, it should be deleted already. So, and then yeah, so I don't have any services and I also don't have any Ingress. So right now, if you try and load the pages, probably I'll just get something blank. Okay, I'm still getting 502. Interesting. Okay, maybe jatoka bado. But anywho, yeah, so I think the reason is because I had already done the mapping. But anyway, so let's continue. So we have already done the Nginx deployment. So let me close one of these terminals just to make things cleaner. So we have deployed our Nginx. So back to our diagram, we are done with Nginx. So let's deploy the Flask. So the Flask, I've also done the YAML here. So for this one, again, we're deploying 2 pods, and then we're using an image, which is an image that I have just created, a very simple image, which what does it do? Just displays the instance ID of the Flask application. So it's a simple basic Flask application. You can use any other image for that matter. This is just for demo purposes. So the image that I'm using, it's online, it's here, it's on Docker Hub. So this is the image that I'm using. You can check it out, download it, check it out. Yeah, it's very simple. So yeah, so let's run the deployment then. So we go to kubectl apply Flask. So we want to do the Flask deployment. So you'll have now 2 deployments, an Nginx deployment and a Flask deployment. So let's see kubectl get deployments. We'll have both. Yeah, so our Flask app has also come up. So we have our 2 backends, they are ready now. So now we go to the services. So we are building from the right to the left, right? So we go to the services. We don't have any service yet. I think I should have deleted them. Get services. yeah, we have the default Kubernetes service, so that's not a problem. So let's deploy the services. Again, we have already the files here. So we have for the Nginx, there's a service. So it's basically just exposing, the service is exposing port 80 on the pod to port 8080 on the service itself now. So, and the Flask one, again, it's the service, it runs on port 5001 and exposes 5001 on the pod. So let's apply these two. So we say kubectl apply. Let's apply start with Nginx service. The services are connected to the apps. So, and then let's do Flask service. So let's see kubectl get services. Should now be good. Yeah, we have our two services there, which you'll notice you're using cluster IP as a type. So because we don't we can use the other types, the node port or the load balancer, but doesn't make sense because we are using an Ingress. So Ingress will handle everything. So yeah, so I think our services are done. I'm eager to see what this is doing here. Okay, right now it's not found. This is interesting. Okay, interesting. I think again it's because I had already done this before, so but now I've removed all I was supposed to remove everything before starting, but I hadn't removed the Ingress. So, and something else I haven't removed is the SSL certificate. I think I had mentioned this because it takes time to deploy, maybe like 30 minutes. I don't want to come back to this 30 minutes later. So anyway, so we are done with this. So we are done with the services. So let's now deploy our Ingress. So the Ingress itself looks something like this. Let's go to the Ingress. Here's our Ingress. So it's a kind Ingress, and then the name. Then here is some interesting stuff. So the annotations. So we have the first one here, GCE, because yeah, we are using it on GKE. Then we have you remember this? This is our static IP address. So basically we are mapping that IP address to this Ingress. So that when our users come from the internet, they land first of all the Ingress. Then we have our managed certificate. This is the one I'm saying I've already created it. So if you do kubectl get managed certificate, get managed certificates, you'll see the certificate there. Yeah, this I had already created it before, so I don't want to recreate it again. It will take a lot of time to deploy. But to create the certificate, there is this file here. So again, you just run this. So you apply this and it creates for you the certificate. You just need to give the domains that you're using. So there's also some documentation on this. So this is Google managed SSL certificates. So this is a YAML file that you just run. So it's there's some documentation here on the same. Here it is. Yes, so you can follow through this, read through it a bit, and you'll see the documentation here on how to do it. So yeah, so you already have, so once you apply this YAML file, then you need to give it a bit of time, but once it's done, and then you come to your Google, then you search maybe certificates, then open the certificate manager, then go to the classic certificates. You should be able to get your certificate there. And it takes a bit of time here, so it will be provisioning maybe for around 20 minutes or 30, and then it will be done. So once that's done, we were on the Ingress, remember? So the Ingress, we are mapping that Ingress to that SSL certificate. And there's one last thing here that we are doing. So we're also using an inbuilt feature from GKE for HTTP to HTTPS redirect. So we don't want to go into the nitty-gritties, and try and implement this thing in another way. And you can just add one line of code and the HTTP to HTTPS redirect is done. So there is also some documentation on how to do that. Here it is. So I'll also share this on the description. So you just need to add a feature. It's a front-end config. So in fact, if we say we go to already deploy this kubectl get front-end config, yeah, there we have it. So it's already there. I had already deployed it, but yeah, again, it's just running where is it? It's just running this YAML, applying this YAML file to your Kubernetes cluster. Then you get to deploy that. So that's it. So our Ingress is done. So the rest is the normal Ingress stuff. So anything that lands to this goes to, we want it to go to our Flask service, and anything that lands on the Nginx endpoint, we want it to go to the Nginx service. So it's as simple as that. So then we can deploy our Ingress, which is the last thing here. Then we test out. We see whether we can get HTTPS on these two endpoints. Yeah, so let's go. Hope it works. kubectl apply. So if we try and get Ingress right now, we don't have any Ingress deployed. So let's yeah, there's no Ingress. kubectl apply f Ingress. Hope it works. There we go. Yeah, so it's deployed. Yeah, so it's deployed 4 seconds ago. Right, so let's see if this works now. So if it works, then when we access nginx.s1bogo, we should be taken to the Nginx service. And if we access flask.s1bogo.website, we should go here. So let's see if it works. Hope it does. Okay, not yet. I think we might need to give this a bit more time. Okay. Are we good? I think we are good. So yeah, normally it takes a bit of time sometimes because it needs to be like to propagate through the Google infrastructure. But once it's done, we should be able to access this. This is weird. Why am I not able to access it? Let's give it a bit of time. I think we are good. Don't think we missed anything. Yeah, so I'll come back to the video once this is done. Yeah, so about 5 minutes later, we are here. So we are able now to load this. So yeah, so you just need to give it a bit of time for it to work. But basically that's it. So you there are not any other changes. The same steps we have followed throughout the video. Just follow the same. I'll share a link to this. Then once you're done, just give it a bit of time. If you're deploying the certificate again for the first time, this might take about 20 minutes to provision, so give it a bit of time to finish. Yeah, and the Ingress also definitely seems it also takes a bit of time, around 5 minutes to get online. So but at the end of it, you will have this, and you should be able now to access your different services through the Ingress, and the Ingress is handling everything to do with the SSL. So basically, if you wanted to add one more endpoint, it's just coming here, adding a different host, a different path, and that's it. And and coming also to the certificate itself and adding that domain here. You can also use wildcards, but that's for another day. Then to be able to provision wildcards, for a whole range of subdomains. Yeah, so I think that's it. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or you need any clarifications. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed recording it. Bye bye.